Jordan.
Ian.
Who made a cool phone by connecting some string to two cups, but when they came to try it 5 years later, couldn't do it when they realised they'd all of a sudden conveniently lost the technology.
Paris Hilton?
No. Two guys. Hello and welcome to episode 79 of Two Guys What's Up, the weekly comedy podcast where I'd like to preface this episode by saying that the host's personal beliefs on the moon landing are not being called into question today, and that they are purely going to be discussing the conspiracy theories surrounding it, and maybe asking some deep questions about the whole event. And with that, my name is Ian, and this fake moon landing conspiracy theorist advocate is Jordan. Jordan, how are you?
First of all, I never said that I was.
It's written all over your face, mate.
Secondly, I'm bloody good.
Very good. But I'd just like to say it's obvious. Every time you come round to my house, you walk through the door, you go, all right, Ian, still believe the moon landing was real, do you? Idiot. Now get me a drink, please.
Yeah, that is what I say, isn't it? All variations of that, like, oh, hi, Ian, how are you? I actually don't care. What are your thoughts on the moon landings now? Have you come to your realisation?
Have you come to your senses, you f***ing idiot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a treat to see you, Jordan.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That is what I was going to put in your best man speech.
Luckily, you couldn't come to the wedding. Just imagine you sat up at the front table rambling for an hour about this idiot. This idiot think we went to the moon. What's that about? Show hands. Who else thinks we went to the moon? Idiot, get out.
You must all be related.
What, Ian's side of the family? Bunch of dickheads. You bald one. Tell me how they got to the moon then.
But great radio show, by the way.
Yeah. Can I get the sign from my kid on your way out, please?
Love it. Anyway, Ian, how are you?
I'm great. So, Jordan, today we've got another special episode of Two Guys Talk About What's Up About the Thingcast.
Oh, God. Didn't stick, did it?
Unfortunately, it has, mate. The special has become what I just said. So today we are going to be talking about everything moon landing, having an open discussion about it, chatting through all the famous points of contention, and maybe even getting to the bottom of it. Was it real? Was it fake? Why was it fake? And when can I go to the moon?
Tickets. You can buy them off me, pal, if you like.
Oh, what, you the guy that says we can't go? I think you're just scamming me.
I don't know what you mean.
Why would we do that to you, pal?
Yeah, I can't even think of words to say.
You sound like you should work for the government, mate.
It's funny you say that. I mean, no.
So, Jordan, we've got quite the packed episode, so shall we just jump into it?
Let's do it.
Nice one! Okay, Jordan, so, starting off strong. Theorists claim NASA claim that they lost the footage, all the diagrams, schematics, and even the technology to go back. What do you think?
I mean, first of all, how? Have they never heard of backing up your research and your work and then backing up the backup and then backing up the backup's backup?
They're not you, mate.
Oh.
But this point is partly true. So starting with the documents, obviously how could things of such importance be misplaced? Apparently the Apollo 11 moon landing footage was recorded on telemetry tapes.
What are telemetry tapes?
Telemetry tapes, sorry.
I still don't know what telemetry tapes are.
Alexa, what's a telemetry tape?
Telemetry is the process of recording and transmitting the readings of an instrument.
Oh, I see. So, like, not just recording, but also sending that somewhere else.
Correct.
Got you. Okay, you could have just said that.
I did.
Alexa did.
I didn't ask Alexa. I don't know what you're talking about. Get your facts straight, government worker.
I'll have you know, that's not true.
I'll have you know, I was fired.
Because I didn't know what a telemetry tape was.
Yeah. They're like, John, can you just grab the telemetry tapes out the basement, please? Like, what now? Like, hey, this is the last straw.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get out of here. Pack your shit. So, apparently the original Apollo 11 moon landing footage was recorded on telemetry tapes that were later insanely reused and recorded over, which lost the original high-quality recordings, which is just absolute madness in itself.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't you want to keep that? But apparently copies of the broadcast footage are all that still exists. But who can really believe that? Because it could just be, touching on a point we're going to talk about later, a Hollywood-style recording that is just put out to trick us all.
That is very, very true. That's a big red flag for me.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But it's for such a clever bunch of people that you are expecting to find over at NASA. Mm-hmm. You would think that is something that just couldn't possibly be a thing that could even happen.
Yeah. It's like me filming the birth of my son and then sending it to my wife and then just being like, oh, well, she's got it, I'll just delete it. You know, and just expecting her to keep it and not thinking, oh, she might think the same thing. It's like, I would definitely keep that footage f***ing safe, you know? That's a sacred bit of footage. I would not lose it. I would stick it somewhere and know where it is.
Yeah, exactly. But then the thing is that you didn't realise that your wife decided to stick it through Snapchat, put a weird filter on it, and now all you've got is your son who looks like a goblin.
No, that is the original footage, mate.
Oh, she didn't have Snapchat, did she?
She didn't know. She never got it.
Oh, so I've put my foot right in it now.
Yeah, we just have the goblin. Thanks.
I mean, what a cute-looking goblin.
Yeah, don't try and dig your way out of it now, pal.
No, lovely baby.
I lovely little goblin child. Yeah, I loved it when it tried to steal my soul that time. That was great.
You did say your youngest was a little bit like a devil.
Oh, he is. Don't bring up the memories, mate. He's at nursery at the moment. I've got some respite.
Okay, that's all right. I do apologise.
Thank you. So, what about the lack of recent manned missions, despite technology being 100-fold improved?
Yeah, see, this is another thing. Why have we not done it when we surely should have the ability to? I mean, I know it's part of the same kind of point as previously, where if they've lost all the schematics and ways to get there, apparently, yet we're trying to go to Mars.
Yeah.
Which is further away.
Yeah, we'll just skip that rock up there. We've been there once for like an hour.
So I don't buy it. Why can you say that, oh yeah, we've got all these rovers that we've put up in Mars and so on, with hopes for human travel to Mars?
Yep.
Why on earth can we not just, I don't know, go back to the moon?
The only reason I could possibly feasibly think of the fact that we haven't been up there is because, you know, there's not like a Costa up there. There's no real reason to go back. We've kind of done everything we can do there.
Yeah, no, but technology is massively different now. We could go back up with super high-def cameras and maybe try some things that might disprove the haters or, you know, the non-believers.
Or maybe even use it as a first try of having a colonisation off of Earth.
True.
We're trying to do that to Mars, trying to colonise it, so why not go, okay, we'll start with the moon, somewhere a little bit closer that we know we can get to because we've been there. We'll set up a little colony, we'll give it a little trial, and then, you know, we'll learn from that and then use that in our expedition to Mars.
So why, Ian? Why not?
I don't know, mate. There's no, like I said, there's no Costa up there.
Why?
Well, some people say that NASA claim they haven't the technology to go back, but isn't technically true. They say that the technology to go to the moon hasn't been lost, but as such is outdated. The Apollo era technologies were apparently retired, and manufacturing process for some components are no longer in modern use. So,
that.
Calm down. It's okay.
No, that's just though, isn't it? Because how much money do NASA have? They have more than I do. They can afford to create whatever they want. They could build their own factory to manufacture these parts.
I think that's what they do have.
So why do they not do it?
Well, it boggles my mind because I'm kind of thinking, like, if we stopped making cars for 30 years, does that mean 30 years in the future we'd go, oh, we'll make another car? Oh, sorry, we don't have the technology, it's outdated. Like, surely they'd just be able to look at what it was and go, okay, we can make that out of this now, or we can do that, you know, we'll have the parts.
Yeah.
We can somehow do it. So it does kind of boggle my mind to think that, oh, the technology's outdated. It's like, yeah, well, we're not in the past, mate. Like, we're in the future.
It's very true.
Things have progressed and you still have the smart people working for you that built it in the first place, so just build another one.
Yeah, or surely, wouldn't you try not to be so stagnant and actually improve upon it?
Exactly, that's, yeah.
It doesn't have to be the same.
Exactly. So you can look at the parts that they had and be like, oh, well, we had, I don't know, this f***ing motor in the first one, but we don't need that now because we've got this chip that'll do the same thing. I'm not a f***ing rocket scientist, so don't ask me, but...
Oh, really?
You're lucky you're on the other side of the phone, pal.
I am, aren't I?
Oh, really smart ass. Do you go to rocket school?
Imagine if Steve Jobs had that philosophy when he introduced the iPhone 3.
Yeah.
It'd be like, it's the new season, and he's like, can't do it. It's old tech now.
Yeah, we've only got the old iPhone. Can't improve on that, because the only other one we've got is the iPhone 1. So how are we going to build anything better? Let's just stop.
Also, didn't it actually start with 3?
All right, Mr. Pedantic.
Pretty certain it did. So, I mean, 3 is the one. So, actually, when they're on about releasing the iPhone 15 or 16 and so on, it's really only the iPhone 13.
Well, shit, mate. Get Steve Jobs on phone.
Okay.
And give him a good telling off.
Hang on, let me just source that Ouija board.
Mom, where's my Ouija board?
But precisely that, though, makes no sense to me.
No sense whatsoever. So the next point is the video of them blasting off and leaving the moon. My question is, who filmed it? How did the camera track it leaving? And how did they retrieve the footage?
Exactly. I mean, apparently they've got that transmissible footage, whatever it was called, that I never heard of, that I got fired for.
Telemetry tape.
That's the one. Sorry, I just block it out now from memories.
Not making a strong point to get your job back, mate.
I'm not trying to. They're all a bunch of liars.
And I'm not one of them anymore. So theorists claim that the smooth tracking of the lunar module as it ascended looks too perfect to be true. They propose that it would have required a camera with sophisticated tracking capabilities, something that they doubt existed in the 1960s. Thus, they speculate that the footage was either remotely controlled from Earth or entirely staged.
That's another point for later, though, isn't it?
It is indeed. But I mean, I've looked at the footage of it blasting off, and it does just look like it's far too smooth. And like the camera tracks it as it goes. So it literally looks like someone's holding it and just following it up as it goes. Because why did it stop? Like, why wouldn't it just like either keep going? I mean, if it was tracking and it was going to hit like something to stop it from...
Firmament. Oh, sorry, what?
That's on Earth, pal. If it was going to hit something that was maybe going to stop it from carrying on moving, if that makes sense, surely there'd have been a bit of wobble on the camera as it stopped.
You'd think so.
But it doesn't.
I think they didn't quite have the good keyframing details that they have these days.
Okay, so they, faked it all?
Yeah.
Nice.
The whole kind of retrieving thing is quite a big one.
Yeah.
Technically, that means that all of that stuff should still be up there.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
And they've done like pass-bys of the moon. They've taken photos of like where the landing was, but never shown the actual equipment.
Surely that would be quite a big thing to want to show. Like, this happened, here's a snapshot in history, it's still there. That's surely a big deal.
Absolutely. Fucking massive deal, you'd think. It's like the biggest thing to happen since the invention of fucking sliced bread, pal.
Yeah, but also the tracking capabilities, or potentially lack thereof, definitely couldn't have happened because they didn't have TikTok back then, and TikTok now give you these little tracking tripods which are brilliant.
One of them gimbals that follows you around.
Yeah, it's only like 20 quid.
Yeah, just straight down the TikTok shop right now, 20% off with code 2guyswhatsup.
That's not true.
That's a lie. It just sounded like an ad.
But if TikTok want to sponsor us, if you're listening, and I don't think you will be.
Mr. TikTok sat there in his high ivory tower. Oh, yeah, what a bad idea.
Do you reckon his first name's Tick and his surname's Tock then?
Possibly. What's his middle name?
Tack? I don't know.
Tic-tac-tock. Inventing a full family tree here.
Love it.
So on the point of receiving the footage, theorists propose that the camera remained on the moon and that NASA would have had a method to transmit the high quality footage back to Earth in real time, and question again whether that technology is real. So again, it does make you think, how did they honestly even conceive of getting that footage back to Earth?
Although if they have these transmissible tapes, then I suppose that technically answers that, but I don't think it really does.
Yeah, I mean, did they have that kind of technology back in the old 60s?
See, the thing is, and I'm not saying that it's all true and it's all real, or that it's not. I'm just saying, I guess there would be technologies out there that we are not privy to that do certainly exist. So even if we didn't think that they existed, they probably did to a degree.
So you're saying that the government are happy to keep secrets from us and lie about things?
Yeah.
Doesn't really make a strong case for this moon landing business, does it?
It's all the case you need. It's the luggage in one.
Okay, but let's face it, the lander module that landed on the moon, it does just look like it's made of tinfoil, doesn't it?
It looks fucking shit. It's like I could imagine my future son or daughter creating that at school.
Yeah, as like a moon landing memorial project or something like that.
Exactly.
Oh, look what I made at school, Daddy.
Yeah, like, oh, fucking hell, it looks like the real thing. It looks better.
Well, that's what your kid's going to say in year 4 or something like that. Fucking hell, it's that real thing. I've done a good job here, Dad. Be proud of me.
Then quickly, like, slaps my back with the biggest thud.
But yeah, it does. I mean, it's a hard point to talk about because the long and short of it is it literally just looks like it's made of tinfoil.
It looks like you could just collapse it by just putting your little finger on it.
Yeah, if you went up to the side of it, you know, give it a few pushes, it would just slowly, like a tent, just begin to just get smaller and smaller towards the ground until it was flat. And then you could rip a bit off and take it home to cook your chicken in.
Absolutely. And I think tinfoil is the right way to describe it. And I'm sure everybody listening to this has seen pictures of it. But just go and look at it again.
Yeah, just watch the footage. I mean, especially pay attention to the legs that come off of it surrounding it. It does kind of looks like it's just flapping, like it's ripped.
I mean, it probably was, to be be fair. It was made out of tinfoil. But it was the highest quality stuff that NASA could afford, of course. Like, it wasn't the cheap Lidl stuff.
Oh, God, no. It was like Tesco's Finest or
It was.
M&S.
Could have even been Waitrose.
Fucking hell, mate. They really pushed the boat out on that one, didn't they?
They did. Or the lunar module.
Pushed the lunar module out on that one, lad.
That's what they were hoping.
That's probably why it broke, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it just concertinaed in on itself, didn't it?
Well, fucking hell, we have to go get some more tinfoil now. Well done, Kevin.
It's like the budget's been used up, though. We'll have to go to Aldi.
I brought some spare from home.
Yeah, bit of sellotape's fine.
So, Jordan, let's face it, at this point, it was the Cold War. The Russians had achieved their first successful space mission on October 4th, 1957, with the launch of Sputnik 1, which was the first artificial satellite to orbit the Earth, marking the beginning of the space age and the start of the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union. Between this time, NASA could have easily spent millions getting a rocket to go to space, behind closed doors, came to the conclusion that it just ain't going to work, and this answers the question of how did they silence everyone working on the mission. You know, people say, oh, so many thousands of people all keep the secret. Well, the bosses, they might have just said to everyone, well done, lads, we've done it, you can go home now, mission accomplished, we're going to the moon. But secretly, in 1969, behind closed doors, they just said, fuck it, we'll fake it.
Yeah, sounds like they got some points from my wife.
Telling you to go home on a night out.
Yeah, it's true.
Go, Jordan, I'm talking to Hernando over here.
Don't, it still hurts.
Oh, sorry, buddy. You did say don't bring that up.
Right, I'm fine. I'm over it.
Go. You sure? You want to take 5 minutes?
No.
Okay.
It's fine.
No, but you're going to set me off.
So, it was obviously a big political deal, wasn't it, about who can get to the moon first?
Absolutely.
A bit of a separate point that I was going to mention later on, but I feel like it makes sense now because of the whole kind of Sputnik talk.
Go.
But I don't know if everybody knows about the little dog that got sent to the moon.
Poor little pooch.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar, essentially, Russia sent a little 3-year-old stray dog that was named Laika to the moon. It ended up, unfortunately, that she died of overheating during the flight. It was awful to read about this, and I believe they sent her off in what was called Sputnik 2.
Right.
Just a little bit I want to read on this. It was a heartbreaking goodbye to a sweet-natured and trusting dog.
Aww.
When Sputnik 2 lifted off, Laika's heart rate tripled and her breath rate quadrupled.
Aww.
I know. Terrified, cramped, overheated and alone, she died soon after. And apparently, since the mission, Laika's been hailed as a bit of a dog superhero. But here's the thing. What's really messed up is the fact that doctors estimated that Laika would die from oxygen deprivation in just 7 days anyway, so giving her no expected chance of survival.
Yeah, so they kind of sent her off to die anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is shitty.
Absolutely. And I think that makes me feel sadder than if that was some person.
I think that's a general consensus, yeah. People feel more for dogs because they're just so innocent, aren't they?
Yeah, and this little 3-year-old dog. Anyway, sorry, a bit of a sidetrack thing there, but I just think that's the case. The dog didn't survive, so, I mean, it's not really looking good, is it, for anyone trying to get to the moon?
Yeah, for the humans that apparently followed.
Exactly.
So, just as Jordan has just put a little bit of a down, you know, understandably, that's a very, very strong point to bring up and a very contentious point, but just to bring us back up again, nipples!
Hey!
Drunk salamander.
Hey!
Imagine one of them.
Love it. Can you think of a third thing? I need something else.
A hippo riding a bike. No, sorry, a bit weird, that one.
Yeah. A tiger having a pipe.
A giraffe having a wank.
Oh, dear.
Okay, yeah, so the main point of it is it might have just been the case that they couldn't do it. They couldn't get to the moon. So, the top bosses went to the people out there working in the fields and went, well done, guys, you've done it. And then just paid someone to film it instead. So all the people working for them would have gone, oh, wow, we did it. Yeah, I was part of it. Yeah, it definitely happened because I was there. But they weren't privy to the fact that it actually wasn't going to properly go ahead.
Yes.
And then it was just paid for by the government to be falsified.
The little buggers.
Which brings us to our next point, Jordan. Weird-looking footage. Do you want to field this one?
If you want.
You moon naysayer.
I'm not saying that about the moon.
The moon exists, Ian.
I'm just saying.
Don't get too far down the rabbit hole.
It's a lovely hologram.
One of my favourite of all of the celestial holograms.
Yeah. So there are some very strange looking videos out there that everybody's seen, because they're always used in documentaries, if nothing else, where you see the astronauts on the surface of the moon bouncing around and so on and sort of having a jolly good time. They look a little bit like Teletubbies.
Yeah.
What's weird, however, is it just looks like they're being pulled up.
It does, yeah. I was going to say, we haven't been to the moon, you and I, so who are we to really say what it would look like with someone running around on there? But there are some weird points, like you say, where it does just look like somebody is just yanked from the floor.
Yes.
With no help from their own hands or knees. It's like they fall over, and then it's like a big hand just comes in and picks them up and plonks them on their feet.
Yeah, because of course you can see the whole body, can't you? It's not even like a close-up.
Exactly.
And you see them where there is zero help from their partner to help them get up.
Yep.
Basically, one of them's on the knees, they've just tripped, and they're trying to get up, obviously stumbling a little bit because they're in these massive suits. And then, without any sort of sense of inertia, just on one foot, ends up breakdancing back up.
Correct.
And it's like, there is no way, even having 1/6 of Earth's gravity, that you can do that.
No, God, no. That's some kind of use the force kind of moment right there.
It really was, yeah. Oh, maybe they're Jedis.
Maybe all astronauts are Jedis. There you go. You heard it here first, folks. A Two Guys What's Up original theory. Astronauts are Jedis.
Perfect. I think that should be the title of this video.
Okay, you got it, buddy.
Thanks. Makes zero sense. So essentially implying that they had, maybe harnesses on and wires that were pulling them up.
Yeah.
And that is honestly the only thing that I can think that logically makes sense to that.
Yeah, and I tell you what, for anyone who might be thinking, I wonder what this looks like, it surely can't look that daft. I sent you this footage because I said I was going to talk about it, Jordan. So I have it, so I will put it on our Instagram for you to all see with your own eyes.
Amazing.
Which should be there if you listen to this right now.
Perfect.
So, the Van Allen belt. So I'll just read this out to you, mate. My little point here, and then you can just jump in or add anything you like, all right?
Cool.
But if you interrupt me more than twice, I'm going to lose my cool.
I just can't like to see it.
But you don't want to see it, mate. Because from where you are, you'll hear it as well, right?
Okay.
Not just down the phone. You'll also hear footsteps like getting closer. And, I don't know, like twist your nipples off or something if you interrupt me more than twice. Not in the good way, like I did last night.
Oh.
So the Van Allen belt is 2 layers of charged particles surrounding the Earth, trapped by Earth's magnetic field. It starts around 600 miles above Earth's surface and finishes around 7,500 miles outward. So now it seems to me like the aluminum shielding of the rocket might not have been able to withstand and subsequently kill all aboard.
Yeah. I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, radiation, bad. NASA said that they had adequate planning and procedures and that it wouldn't have been more than a couple chest x-rays per astronaut. But of course I'd say that because they're the ones about the lies and stuff. But how is aluminium a safe barrier for radiation? It's not, okay? The end, let's move on. And thanks for not interrupting me, mate.
Yeah, I think happy to move on with that.
Smash 'em.
Cut and dry.
Some people speculate that Stanley Kubrick directed the moon landing here on a soundstage on Earth.
Oh, yeah.
It is said that in some circles that NASA employed Kubrick's expertise in filmmaking, arguing that his advanced special effects techniques that showcased in 2001 A Space Odyssey, which was released in 1968, just a year before the moon landing, were so convincing that he was the only person able of producing such a realistic hoax moon landing. Have you heard this one?
Yes, I have heard this one. Not sure what my thoughts are of that, because I don't think Kubrick is the only person that could do that, but I get it.
Well, Jordan, I have seen a video. I tried to look it up in preparation for this.
Called The Shining.
That's coming up in a second. But I've seen a video of him being interviewed about it, and he's talking about it. He's like, oh, well, NASA employed me back in the 1960s to film this, blah, 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 blah. And he's talking about it explicitly on video. But then a few years later, I saw another video of that same clip, but the director is shouting at him going, no, Stanley Kubrick wouldn't have said that. He would have said it like this. Get it right, you dickhead. So it implies that the person who is Stanley Kubrick in the first one is actually an actor.
Oh.
Conflicting videos there, and I don't know which one to believe.
Oh dear, okay. I'll just believe them both.
Deal. So, The Shining. Not only did Stanley Kubrick do it, he told us, and he did encoded confessions. So if you look at his later film, The Shining, in 1980, some eagle-eyed smarty pants interpreted various elements of the movie as Kubrick's subtle confessions to his involvement in the hoax. For example, the Apollo 11 sweater worn by the character Danny, and a prominent room number 237, which some claim represents the average distance of the Earth to the moon.
Yeah, it's some pretty out there details, really, but who knows? Could be some Easter eggs.
Well, I mean, in a vast pool of numbers that he could have chosen, why did he choose the number that is the distance from the Earth to the moon? And I mean, I know it's like 238,000, but apparently there's an average, which is 237,000 miles. So, of every single fucking number he could have chosen, why that one? Because he didn't do it. He did do it. They didn't do it. He filmed it, Jordan, okay?
Are you sure you understand your own point?
God, no, mate.
Okay.
I'm still half asleep.
Fair enough.
I had cocktails last night. I'm still half fucking cut, mate.
I'm still pissed.
So, Jordan, the whole point of the stars in photos, I didn't really sort of get this one.
Okay.
But feel free to explain it to me.
So essentially, there's not really a lot to say. It's just as you imagine that when there's all this footage and there's these pictures that have been released of us supposedly walking on the moon, there are no visible stars. Despite the fact that, let's say if you're on Earth and there's no clouds, you look up at night, you see stars.
Very true.
So you're on the moon, there's no clouds, no sort of atmosphere to distort that. You somehow don't see stars.
Yeah, that's a bit of a weird one. So I read that apparently the reason that theorists argue that this is a thing is because that cameras were intentionally set to avoid capturing stars to prevent revealing the true location, which is a film set, because it was technologically difficult to include them convincingly. So that means essentially that you couldn't accurately place stars in the sky as they should look where they were in space, so like constellations and that sort of thing, which would give it away, so they just didn't include them.
Okay, and maybe they just forgot.
Possibly.
They'd had a couple of bevies themselves the night before.
The continuity department were just still hungover asleep. They're like, we need some stars.
They were like, no one will remember that.
Yeah, no one cares about stars.
I got the tinfoil though.
Yeah. The guy's knocking on the door like, we need some stars, guys. Like, just leave them out. No one's going to give a shit anyway.
They might be like, I just don't want it to come back to me when little shitty podcasts come up and speak about it.
Yeah. I don't want to have my name put out there and put on blast when some guy starts talking about no stars, all right? Or shitty stars, so just leave them out.
True.
So the waving flag contention, Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
So I've heard a lot of explanations about this one, which would seem fairly explanatory of it, but I was kind of watching the footage, and it doesn't look like the astronauts really touch the pole when it wiggles.
Yeah.
So for anyone that doesn't understand, the flag seems to be flapping.
Breakdancing.
Yeah, doing a little jig on its head, and people say, it must be wind. But then people go, no, it's not wind, there's no atmosphere, so if you touch it, it will just keep moving because there's nothing to slow it down. That's why it wiggles.
Exactly.
But like I said, when I watched the video, it's moving, but the astronauts aren't really touching it. So there's one point where he's just holding it, and I think he just lets it go, and then it starts going fucking mental on its own.
Yeah, there's not a lot to say about this, really, is there? It's pretty self-explanatory.
Look it up yourself, come to your own conclusions. We're not here to sway you one way or the other.
Not at all, just open your eyes and your ass.
Are you what?
Sorry, nothing.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay, please say something about my eyes in my ass.
Maybe. Go on, carry on.
Can't wait to listen to this back. So the inconsistent shadows and lighting, e.g. the sun reflections in different directions in the same photo.
Yeah, so this is, again, another one where there's a picture taken, where there's two astronauts and maybe there's the lunar module or something like that also in the photo. And all of the shadows point in different directions.
Right.
So if you had a sun that was really the only light source available, it would not show a significant angle difference as it does.
Yeah, you'd think they'd all be going the one way.
Exactly, indicating that it must be a localised light source, i.e. maybe, soundstage or something.
Stage lights, yeah.
Like that, yeah.
Well, this evidence is becoming pretty convincing.
I mean, it's a no-brainer, really, which is lucky for me.
Just like no lander.
I mean, there was one, it was just shit.
It was just a tinfoil and egg box creation.
It's true, yeah. It's almost as good as, like, the Kinder Egg things that you build.
Yeah, maybe it was that, just
Maybe.
really zoomed in.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Yeah.
Imagine, like, all these bosses sat in the NASA office, like, we're not going to get it done. I don't know what to do. One's just, like, eating his lunch, just opens a Kinder Egg, it's like, oh, man, we're fucked, man. Wasted all this, man. He just sees this little lander in his hand, like, that he got as a toy, and he's like, oh, my God, guys, I've got it. I've got it. I know what to do. We're saved.
His fucking big fat sausage fingers crinkled it all up.
Someone get me some tinfoil. I need to wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I think you've cracked it.
I believe so, just like the Kinder Egg. So the lack of the blast crater upon landing.
Yeah, exactly. So after the lunar module landed, there's photos that show there is just no blast crater or even any obvious signs of disturbance in the lunar soil.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are numerous photos which show the ground below the rocket nozzle just being undisturbed. And you would think for such a massive piece of equipment that it would kind of have to be, it would create some sort of disturbance. And yet there is nothing.
At least it kicked up a shit ton of dust.
You would think so, yeah. And there's just nothing.
Didn't it land like pretty much perfectly, like all 4 feet at once?
Possibly it was just reversed footage of them yanking it up.
Yeah, it does just look like it's placed though.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It probably was.
Well, there you go. There's your no blast crater, pal. So, Jordan, you mentioned a point on identical backgrounds used in multiple photos.
Yeah, so there was a video somewhere on YouTube, but I hadn't seen it for about 10 years now or something like that.
Yeah.
I did try and find it, and I couldn't find it, but I will keep looking, and if I do, I'll send it to you. But there was basically a video where someone analysed a bunch of photos and footage of the craters that are sort of in the background, like the massive hills that are on the moon's surface. And yet, with analysing that, they realised that they were just literally the same. It was just a copy and paste background, the same height, the same angle.
Right.
Everything was the same. Even when they were supposedly showing a different angle or like a totally different visual plane, it was the same.
Which seems like something someone would have done, thinking no one will ever find out, not knowing the technology that would be available in the future, something like Photoshop or something like that. They go, no one's ever going to know. How are they going to compare?
Exactly. And so, I don't know, that seems weird because I imagine the moon's craters are indeed a little different from each other.
Surely.
Perfect evidence right there.
All fake. The whole thing about weird astronaut reply and behaviours once they returned in interviews and things like that is a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, they all look a little bit dishevelled and shell-shocked when it's the first sort of media thing after they'd returned. And, I mean, okay, so if I put myself in that position, if this was true and it really happened, you would be really tired, wouldn't you? It's what an exhausting thing to have to do and massively scary as well as exciting and all the adrenaline and so on. So I guess all of that is then just dumped, isn't it? And then you're faced with dealing with the public and the media.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be mentally very taxing, but nobody looked at all excited or thrilled to be talking about one of the biggest things that's ever happened in mankind.
You think you'd be absolutely fucking buzzing, wouldn't you?
Well, I would think so. I think you'd be like trying to describe it all, your experience, and they just look like they'd rather be anywhere else.
I have heard about one thing that apparently astronauts experience when they go into space and they look at Earth and they get this kind of feeling of like a sudden realization that like, oh God, like everything I know, everything I love, everyone, everything in my life is on that little blue marble right there. And you get this feeling of like, holy shit, I am just a small, insignificant speck, as you're looking out to space kind of thing. And it takes them a while, apparently, to get over it, get back onto feeling like normal life and get back into the swing of things. So I can maybe imagine that might be something that they were going through.
Yeah, I get that. Possibly. But I mean, I don't know if you would also maybe say that. I've had this experience and it's made me realise how much we worry about things in life and you've just got to enjoy your life because we're so insignificant in the grand scheme of the universe, and it's allowed me to see that. You would probably want to say something like that.
Can you imagine though, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong getting off the lander, right? And they're like, oh my God, you've just done one of the best things in human history. You've been to the moon. How does it feel? It's like, shit, mate. It's totally insignificant. We're all just specks of dust in a vast space of nothingness.
That is very true.
You're unimportant. Fuck all y'all. You're unimportant. Nothing matters. See you later. They'll be like, okay.
And with that, I'm off.
Yeah.
But you've just sat down.
Yeah, I don't think that had quite gone down so well with the press, so they might have had to have put on the whole facade of, yeah, that was amazing, that was such a fantastic experience, when really inside they're thinking, I never need to do laundry again.
That's very true.
What does it matter?
But all of them are thinking, fucking hell, he stinks.
What, each of the other astronauts?
The whole room's thinking, fuck me, get some washing done.
Get some washing done, mate. I know you've been back from the moon only like an hour, but you could have just stuck a washing on quickly.
Speaking of Buzz Aldrin, though, have you seen the interview clips where he's speaking to audience members in interviews?
Yes.
He says some weird stuff, and I've got a couple of examples. So, in a Q&A video of him at the Oxford Union in 2015, he said a few things that were a little odd, to say the least. So, when he was asked by an audience member, what was the scariest moment of the journey, Aldrin responds, scariest? It didn't happen. It could have been scary, which is odd to say. And also, when he was asked why nobody's been to the moon for such a long time since, he also responded, because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. That's a bit of a weird thing to say.
Absolutely, very strange. I mean, I don't know if it's just maybe the way he words things. It's like in that first example, he says, sorry, what was the question?
Scariest, it didn't happen. It could have been scary.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe like the guy was like, was it scary? And he's like, no, it didn't happen. Meaning, no, I didn't get scared. It could have been scary.
Yeah.
Maybe he just worded it a bit weird. And people are just thinking, oh God, he's just said it didn't happen live on TV. Surely he would have been assassinated or something for that.
Just his head goes bang. Could have been scary.
Just implodes.
Yeah. And then everyone's like, holy shit, that was scary.
Could have been scary. Didn't happen. We saw nothing.
Yeah, so, I mean, it could be that, but you would really take on face value the words, wouldn't you? You wouldn't be trying to dig into a deeper meaning.
Oh, of course not, yeah. You would just take what he says, sort of face value.
Odd.
Should we get him on? Ask him.
Yeah, I think so. I was looking up, actually. He's like 91 now.
Did he?
Did he?
Is he?
Are you all right?
Maybe.
Are you still drunk?
I've got a Man in Black on my back.
Oh, a Men in Black backpack. So another point to make is that NASA have never released a complete singular photo of the Earth, and there are only composite photos, sort of indicating that we have never been as far out enough to do so.
Yeah.
That's kind of odd, don't you think?
That is a bit strange. Yeah. Do you think maybe they just didn't have the technology? It's like taking a picture of the moon now with your iPhone. It always looks really shit. So do you think maybe that was like the level of technology that they couldn't just take a decent picture of the Earth that far away?
Well, as far as I'm aware, there's just not a picture that exists. I would suspect you would at least try.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think they did try, and they kind of had like the Earth rising on the horizon over the moon kind of thing. But I could be making that up.
But still, there's no singular photo, and it is all just composite pictures. There was also a thing I think I remember seeing where someone took, for example, some of the lunar photos that has, you know, a little bit of the Earth in the corner or something, you know, like a crescent shaped or something.
Yeah.
And they stuck that through Photoshop or some similar kind of software, changed the exposure, and around the Earth, it's all weirdly pixelated.
Right.
As if it's been stuck there after the fact.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen anywhere else. It's just sort of a square around the Earth.
Weird.
So that kind of implies that that's then been just stuck there. Obviously, you wouldn't know that until you change the exposure, but there's just things like that that don't really add up.
Absolutely. Yeah, the photos do kind of look a bit weird. And like you say, they've never really released like a proper photo. But if you look up photo of the Earth, you'll only ever get fake ones on Google.
Yeah, very, very odd. Or they call them like artistic representations, don't they, or something like that, implying that it's what they think it would be, which is strange for a company that have apparently been to the moon and seen it firsthand.
Yeah, and have billions of dollars given to them annually to be able to do such things as take photos.
So, I don't know.
So what about this whole phoning the White House from the moon thing?
Yeah, bollocks, because I can't even get a signal from down the road.
Yeah, I mean, this call we're on at the moment is kind of patchy.
It's true. I mean, I am on the moon.
Oh, are you? Well, it's incredibly clear then. Maybe NASA's onto something.
I tried phoning the White House. It was terrible reception.
Was it? Are you sure that just wasn't the stuttering old ball bag that's in there at the moment?
Yeah, it could well have been.
So it's not a crackly line. It's just him going, speak up, Joe. I can't hear you, pal.
That is very true.
So yeah, conspiracy theorists argue that the idea of the astronauts making a phone call from the moon to the White House in 1969 is simply laughable, given the communication issues we face even with modern phones, with modern tech. It seems hard to believe that such a clear call was possible over a distance of roughly 238,000 miles would have been beyond the capabilities of the 60s. So it's thought that the phone call might have been pre-recorded or staged on Earth.
Yeah, I wonder. Or maybe they had just a really long cable.
Or maybe there's just a guy under the desk attached to the other side of the phone going, "Yeah, it's Neil here, mate. Yeah, we're on moon, pal. Yeah, it's great up here. Weather's a bit shit, but..." And Nixon's like,
Oh, could you imagine if it was happening this day and age and they do the call to Joe Biden?
Joe, we're on the moon. You can't hear that, Joe. Speak up. Right, so Jordan, do you want to mention this one?
Yeah, so I guess as we begin winding down the thoughts of this, when you consider that NASA is so full of clever people, scientists and great minds that have allowed us to supposedly, allegedly, maybe taken us to the moon, they ended up trying to send a female astronaut into orbit for a week and gave her 100 tampons just to be on the safe side.
Which seems a bit on the extravagant side.
Especially if she wasn't ovulating.
Maybe it's because, NASA's just full of nerds and they were just too scared to talk to her and ask her. You could have just gone, do you need these? Yeah, how many? I don't know, 10. Okay. They were like, oh, no, I don't want to, I can't talk to a woman.
Yeah. And also, it just reminded me where I see so many videos where, let's say, a female is interviewing a group of males in the street and, they ask them about things like, when women wear a tampon, how do they pee? Hand the mic to them. And the amount of people that have zero clue about the female anatomy and are like, I don't know, I've always thought about this. I mean, I guess they just take it out. Or someone was like, don't they just wee on it?
Does it just come out the bum?
Were you on it, Ian?
No, they cut my question out because they said it was too stupid. I still don't know why.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I thought it was a fair point you asked, actually. But yeah, it just makes me realise how fucking stupid people are. So even though they have all these clever people, really, how clever are they?
Clever enough to fake something.
Yeah.
Right, Jordan. So I have just realised that is us at the end of our points.
It is, Ian.
Holy shit. So, final thoughts on the matter. 10 years ago, if you'd asked me, I'd have said, yeah, we went to the moon. Undeniable. But in recent years...
Fool.
I've learned some things from the past and even things that have come out in recent years that just make you simply distrust the government, such as MKUltra, the syphilis experiment, UFOs being a big one. So it is clear and obvious that they lie. So in my mind, there is always a little seed of doubt because the main takeaway and the things that were at stake were money and global dominance. So they don't care about us, and of course, they would happily lie about it for their own personal gain.
Absolutely they will. Yeah, they don't care about us little people.
As long as they make their money and they're happy, that's all they care about.
Definitely. And also, what you were listing there about the syphilis experiment, MKUltra and UFOs and so on, are all bonus content feeds.
Very true. All that shit is out there on our bonus feed.
It is.
12 episodes for just £3.
Yeah, exactly. So if you actually want to know the truth, God, it's only £3 a month.
Sign up, listen to them, and if you don't like it, leave us alone.
No, don't. Come back.
I'll come back, please.
So in regards to my thoughts, I have a couple of additional points.
Okay.
Shall we say? I think you know my stance on this by now.
Bullshit.
Is that meaning that's my stance or that you don't think that you know them?
Yeah, I don't know your points.
So, a couple of other things. I'm pretty certain and would go as far as say that there is definite use of green screen in some of the NASA supposed in-orbit videos, like that they either stream to YouTube or that's on TV channels and interviews on American news channels, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because quite often you'll get these sort of weird disruptions that really should not happen. It should not distort in the way it does. For example, the background will remain the same, but the astronaut in front of that will distort very weirdly.
Yeah.
So if there was a distortion in the video, which is fair enough, it would all distort equally.
You would think.
And also, when you see them all in the ISS, when they're floating around, maybe they're going from room to room or so on, and, they're just kind of proving their
ability to float.
Yeah, the zero gravity experience. Well, there's a female astronaut, and I don't know her name, unfortunately, but there's an example where she's on video, and her hair is absolutely stood upright. It looks like it's just been held by about 10 cans of hairspray.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas hair in zero gravity should just flow and kind of move naturally with inertia. A bit like when you're underwater.
Yeah.
And not just be a fucking blob on the top of a head that doesn't even move. Like, first of all, that's the weirdest thing. Another one is that there's definite use of harnesses and that they're definitely being held up. So I remember seeing a video where there's, again, another astronaut on the ISS and he demonstrates during an interview him doing like, a little backflip with such little effort, which makes sense. But you can see his clothing being tugged from the obvious harness that is there. And there's also where he kind of gets a little bit stuck and stumbles, and another astronaut helps him.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty certain that they pull the harness to allow him to get back into position.
Yeah, I've seen that. It doesn't look like they touched the other astronaut's clothes.
Exactly.
Or like help him up or hold him. He just literally just grabs the harness and yanks it.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, if they can fake these just generic orbit videos, then how far-fetched is it to think that they can fake a moon landing?
Absolutely.
Especially when there's a global race.
Definitely, yeah, when so much is at stake.
Yeah.
But I definitely think the ISS is definitely another episode's worth of What's Up About the Stuff on the Two Guys What's Up Today About cast.
Not again.
So I think I'm going to look into those and write a list because there's so much more, and I want to go into them right now, but I'm holding myself back.
Yes, I think it's worthy of its own sort of merit, really, but
yeah,
very weird.
Definitely worth bringing up now because it does just show the levels that they can go to fake something.
And there's one final slightly spooky point I want to bring up.
Spook me.
Oh, I will. So there's thoughts out there that we did indeed go to the moon, as you'd expect.
Not based on this.
However, the reason that things have been maybe faked is for that what the astronauts saw were things that the public just really couldn't know about.
So I've heard a few points on this. I don't know if these are what you're going to mention, but I remember hearing something about Neil Armstrong switching to the emergency broadcast and saying something like there's UFOs lined up along the ridges watching them.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Like a fleet of, I guess, extraterrestrials, essentially.
Just like sort of like a little landing party. Like, welcome, you finally made it.
All full of little Arnold Schwarzeneggers.
They're all muscly as fuck. And they said they heard noises coming from space.
Yeah.
They said they heard noises coming from knocking coming from outside the shuttle.
So it's kind of implying that maybe they faked it for a different reason rather than not going.
That's a very good point. We have literally been harping on about the fact that they didn't go because they couldn't, but maybe they did, and it was just too scary to put out what actually happened.
And that's a very interesting thought to end on and ponder on, I think.
I believe so. Love it.
Thank you very much.
Right, so thank you very much for all those interesting facts. I think that's been a very hard-hitting, thought-provoking episode, Jordan, my old pal. We probably made ourselves seem like idiots in the eyes of our viewers, and they ain't going to listen again because they're like, hey, listen to these fucking idiots, mate. They didn't believe we went to the moon.
I'm not saying either way. I'm just saying make your own conclusions, but, there's a couple of reasons that maybe we didn't.
Absolutely. So does that about bring us round to the end of today's episode, Jordan?
I think it does, Ian.
In true moon blasting style, let's blast through this, shall we, me old pal?
Let's do it.
Nice one! Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Two Guys What's Up. Don't forget to follow the show wherever you listen to us so you don't miss another episode, and maybe even tell a friend. Take your friend to the moon, tell us if it actually happened, and listen to Two Guys What's Up along the way.
That's short and sweet. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, our Linktree link is in the bio of this episode, which you can click on and be jetted off to every link you will ever need for all your Two Guys What's Up essentials. Want to get your own Two Guys What's Up t-shirt? Click the link.
Want to go to the moon? Click the link.
Want to create your own studio space to fake the moon landings? Click the link.
And don't forget we now have Patreon, where you can find all of your Two Guys What's Up extra essentials, including pin badges, shout-outs, t-shirts, and then if you really can't get enough of our fantastic tales and sexy voices,
oh yeah,
well, now you can get more, because we now release bonus episodes which come out on the last Friday of every month. There's currently 12 sitting up there right now for your ears to just go and have a little sniggly gobble about and all of that goodness, and it's all available right now, starting with the bonus episodes for just £3 a month.
So if you want to help support the show and get some cool stuff while you do so, head over to patreon.com/Two Guys What's Up to check out all the goodies over there. The link will be down below for your clickety pleasure.
But if you can't do that, but you'd still like to help us out, then a 5 moon rating and review in your podcast app of choice would be the best way to do that for us, and we would be grateful to the moon and back.
To Mars.
To fucking Saturn, pal.
Yeah.
But on that note, thanks for listening. Y'all have an amazing week, and we will see you next Monday. Bye.
No, but to add to that as well, so trying to...
Good point.
Yeah, thanks. Trying to put into words. So the whole kind of retrieving thing is